Key clauses. In employment agreements, which govern the relationship between an employer and an employee, several important clauses should be included to clarify the rights, responsibilities, and obligations of both parties. While the specific clauses may vary depending on the jurisdiction and the terms negotiated, here are some essential clauses to consider. Parties to the agreement. Employment terms. Compensation and benefits. Job responsibilities and duties. Confidentiality and non-disclosure. Intellectual property. Non-competition and non-solicitation. Termination and severance. Confidentiality and return of company property. Dispute resolution. Governing law and jurisdiction. Parties to the agreement clearly identify the employer and the employee by their legal names and addresses. This clause establishes the identities of the parties involved in the employment agreement. Employment terms define the terms of employment, including the start date, job title or position, work schedule, and duration of employment, whether it is an indefinite term or a fixed-term contract. Compensation and benefits specify the employee's compensation, including salary, wages, bonuses, and any other forms of remuneration. Outline any additional benefits or perks such as health insurance, retirement plans, vacation and sick leave, and other applicable allowances. Job responsibilities and duties clearly define the employee's job responsibilities, duties, and performance expectations. This clause should outline the scope of work, reporting relationships, and any specific requirements or obligations related to the position. Confidentiality and non-disclosure include provisions that require the employee to maintain the confidentiality of sensitive company information, trade secrets, and proprietary knowledge. This clause may also prohibit the employee from disclosing such information to third parties or using it for personal gain. Intellectual property. Address ownership and use of intellectual property created by the employee during the course of their employment. Specify whether the employee's work-related inventions, designs, or creations belong to the employer or if there are any specific arrangements regarding intellectual property rights. Non-competition and non-solicitation include clauses that restrict the employee's ability to compete with the employer's business or solicit clients or employees after the termination of employment. Specify the duration and geographical scope of these restrictions. Termination and severance define the conditions and notice periods required for terminating the employment relationship, both by the employer and the employee. This clause may also address severance pay or benefits payable upon termination, as well as any post-employment obligations or restrictions. Confidentiality and return of company property require the employee to return any company property, documents, or records upon termination of employment. Emphasize the importance of maintaining confidentiality even after the employment relationship ends. Dispute resolution specify the preferred method for resolving employment-related disputes, such as mediation or arbitration. This clause may also designate the jurisdiction and applicable law for resolving any legal disputes that may arise. Governing law and jurisdiction specify the governing law and jurisdiction that will apply to the employment agreement. This clause determines the legal framework under which the agreement will be interpreted and enforced. It is important to note that employment agreements can be complex and are subject to local labor laws and regulations. It is advisable to seek legal advice or consult with an employment law specialist to ensure that the employment agreement complies with applicable laws and meets the specific needs of both the employer and the employee.